I would like to call to order the Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Please notice that Trustee Hernandez is participating remotely this evening from 1777 Ala Moana Boulevard, Waikiki, Hawaii. Are there any speakers related to closed session topics? Okay. The board will now convene to close session. Relative to closed session items 3.2 through 3.6, there was no action taken by the board. Relative to item 3.1, the board in closed session took a unanimous vote and approved a settlement agreement related to OAH case number 202406045. I would like to turn it over to Vice President Kumar for the next part.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. Will the audience please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please? Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
May I have a motion and second to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
May I have a volunteer to read the land acknowledgement for us tonight? Trustee Rafe.
We want to open, wait a minute. We want to open this meeting by acknowledging with respect. I'm sorry, it's messing up.
I can take it if you want.
Oh, you do it.
We want to open up this meeting and by acknowledging with respect and love that the land that we are on today is the traditional ancestral homeland of the Ohlone Chochenyo First People. We recognize and thank the Ohlone people as the original stewards of this land. Indigenous people must not be spoken about in the past context as if they left on their own accord when the real causes were white supremacy, manifest destiny, and U.S. colonization. By recognizing we stand on occupied indigenous territory of the Ohlone people, we recommit ourselves to listen to Native leadership and stand in solidarity with people struggling against systems of oppression throughout the world, past and present.
Thank you, trustees Rafe and trustee Nishihira. Back to you, President Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna go with, are there any, this is for public comment, are there any blue speaker cards, requests for topics that are not on the agenda?
No,
Okay,
no cards.
no? All right, moving on to topics that are on the agenda. Any blue card speakers? No? Okay, neither are there. Okay. All right, we'll move into our union president's report. Do we have for CSEA president here? No, I do not see. So we'll go into NHTA president, Joe Angeles.
Good evening. Thank you, President Gonzalez, Vice President Kumar, trustees, student trustees, and aloha nui to Trustee Hernandez in the Kingdom of Hawaii. So also Dr. Thompson, district staff, people in the audience and at home. As you know, we've been back in session for a month now, so things are settling down. Probably the biggest thing I want to report is one of the things that came out our recent contract negotiation is the first step really in class size reduction. And obviously we both know, both the district and the union knew that this is a whole new adventure and it was going to have some time to kind of work out the things that we see happening with the class size reduction as described in the contract. We look forward to continue that conversation to try to remedy some of those things, which is popping up throughout level wide in the different areas where the contract pieces have affected. But we are confident that we can work out as we put together this contract with the district to kind of set up, because obviously conversation may be coming up again on the third year of the contract. So I did want to let folks know it is a great thing, but we knew that some of the things that have been coming up that I've been hearing, as well as I'm sure when I talk to district staff here, some of the things we need to consider. On other fronts for this year, the great thing about this year is it's some new events that are coming up. I think one of the things that we're looking forward to in cooperation with Assistant Superintendent Wee is put together the PD Advisory Committee, which came out of the collaboration conversation that happened way back during the pandemic. This advisory committee is being put together as a result of the contract as well. You know that we were able to get some more PD time in the calendar itself. And so it was really talked about how to make sure that the PD that we're doing is what teachers need and want for the different things that they've been asked to do and the different new skills they need to sharpen their own skills in the classroom, as well as new knowledge on how to teach those skills to students. So we look forward to that collaboration as well. Now, on the equity front, I did want to just say we are glad Assembly Bill 2918 died in committee. If you don't know, that is the Assembly bill that would really affected ethnic studies. As you know, ethnic studies is the benchmark here in New Haven. That bill would have diluted many of the true conversations that ethnic studies has presented, and in some places is still not accepted or valued in the place we go through, especially in the education system. So I did want to mention that because, as you know, it's not ended here. So in the future, we may be asking the board to consider helping taking a position on some of those, some of the bills that have that kind of connotation and effect on the things we do here, especially the points that we've so much had a big mark in changing up the times in that subject area, ethnic studies. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I think we may have had a Zoom hand up that either dropped in just right, it was right at the moment when we were there. So
Okay.
I would recommend going back to take public comment on, was it on the agenda?
All right. Without any objection, we're going to go back to public comment. Thank you, President Joe Angeles. About that. All right, so we have 2 minutes for our speaker. Who is our speaker?
You're right.
Lydia, is our speaker? Okay, ready to go. 2 minutes.
So I have thank you. I have a comment for something not on the agenda as well as on the agenda. Which one am I giving permission for? And I raised my hand during the land acknowledgement. So what are you giving me permission to speak on?
We can do both.
Okay. I'll go with the item not on the agenda. Good evening to everybody. Board President Gonzalez and trustees, superintendent, and your cabinet of members of the public. I just want to call attention to the board committee meetings. It's my understanding that those committee meetings are open to the public, and when they're being done on Zoom, they're not accessible. So I've been in waiting rooms for up to 30 minutes to 45 minutes waiting to be let into committee meetings. And I just want to call attention to the inaccessibility of for the public to attend those meetings when they're being held online. So I feel like the online forum should allow for more access to the meetings, and just, I don't know if you're not aware, and I can understand that there might not be a lot of participation but for those of us who are dropping in and would like to be a part of those conversations or listening to those conversations, particularly around policy review and finance, I just want to be aware that we're not being allowed access to these committee meetings. So just a matter of procedure, and hopefully that can be there's more awareness to, like, even on this Zoom call today, like I'm in the waiting room waiting to make comments. And thankfully, I'm able to at least access individuals that can actually let me, make comment here tonight. So just wanted to bring awareness to that is been problematic in the past. And I just want to make sure that these committee meetings are being made available to the public for those of us who want to join the conversation or just to listen in. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll reset the clock. You wanted to speak on something that is on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
So
You
I'm
have the
going to,
floor.
thank you. Good evening. So I'm making the comments again. My name is Lydia Edom. I'm outgoing president, also outgoing president of the D3A. I served for 2 years as president or chair of the District African American Advisory. And I think we've done a lot of great work. I think one of our most important initiatives that we partner with the district on is the N-Word initiative that's before you all, the school board, tonight. I just want to weigh in and give my support to the resolution that I hope that will be passed tonight. I want to give a big thank you to the district, particularly to Superintendent John Thompson, Assistant Superintendent Louise Stevens, and Director of Equity, Access, and Achievements at the Nobles for their partnership, for their leadership, and quite frankly, for their courage in bringing this initiative forward. It is unprecedented. It's actually leadership in this work to ensure that we have safe learning environments, particularly for Black students. And I'm going to just, as a parent of Black children who have graduated from this district and one who is still in the school district, as a Black woman who has graduated from this district, I just want to thank you for listening to us as a D3A, hearing our varying perspectives and opinions on this matter, and actually doing something about it. And so I just would love for the board to support this work. This is just an initial step. I hope that you will continue to support our district leadership in rolling this out across the district into the schools. I know that our teachers will need support in implementing this. It's unprecedented.
sorry.
There's no 2 minutes. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And just thank you to the district again for doing this.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go into our presentations. This is 9.1. This is Ms. Hillman cannot be with us. So this is the unaudited actual financial report. Go ahead.
Good evening, Superintendent Thompson, members of the board, Tricia Tao, Director of Fiscal Services, here to present to you the unaudited actuals for the 23-24 school year. Ms. Heldman always likes to include the ed code in the presentation. It tells us why we are here today, what format it needs to be in, and by what due date we need to finish this report. The budget cycle, as you can see, we are finally wrapping up the 23-24 school year, and this is going to close the cycle. Some topics for today's presentation. More importantly, what everyone wants to know is, what does that general fund ending balance look like? Our revenues, in comparing our estimated actuals with our unaudited, we have a slight variance of about $500,000. Most of this is from deferred revenues from our federal sources that we did not spend in this past fiscal year, and so we must defer them to this current year. Expenditures. As you can see, the bulk of our expenditures reside in our salary and benefits. With, oh. %89 of it is, of the unrestricted, 89% is salary and benefits. Contributions to balance other programs. I'd like to point out that for the first time, child nutrition actually has no contribution to from the general fund. The ending balance. Our ending balance is about a total combined of 12.1 million higher than what we thought it would be. 9.8 is from the unrestricted side, and that has to deal with us leveraging some one-time dollars in some shifts, along with encumbrances that were dropped because POs were closed or we didn't receive the items in time. And this is how we have broken up our ending balances. 26.3 million is committed. You guys will be approving a resolution for the commitment of funds. We are able to meet our required reserve for economic uncertainties. And 10.5 is set aside for board priorities and unforeseen events. We also like to do a comparison on how well we've projected our close. I think we need to note that the past couple of years have been a little off, but we are starting to stabilize in our variance. Last year, 22-23, we had a 14% variance because of the ADA proxy, which without it would be about 7%. And this past year, 31%, but again, that's because we leveraged a lot of one-time money. So if we were to take that out, it would be a 5% variance. So we're starting to slowly return back to normal. Reports that we must meet. We've met all of our reports. What is next? In a few weeks, our auditors will come and look at our financials, and that report will be sent to you, presented to you in January. And our next report will be the first interim, and we'll see where we shake out with our new carryover and with the raises and such. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Tal. Is there any questions or comments? Okay, wonderful job. Thank you. We'll go ahead with the next part of the agenda. This is a presentation of special education significant disproportionality comprehensive coordinated early intervening services plan for 2024. Ms. Koppler, Sarah Koppler, our director.
Good evening, members of the board, President Gonzalez. This is the 5th time I've come before you for the Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervening Services, and I am indeed the Director of Special Services here. However, you'll see that it is early intervening services, and primarily this plan is for students in the general education in order to disrupt the pattern before becoming special education. Little tech. Oh, there we go. So you can see, so you can see that this is the 5th plan. We started in 2020, and we are currently finishing our 2022 plan. And so September 30th, we have already spent those funds and completed those plans, and we're going to report out tonight. We're in the middle of our 2023 plan, and I am also coming to you to approve the 2024 plan. So where are we? We've completed the activities, we're mid-progress, and we have our plan and development, which hopefully will go to CDE on October 1st. The good news is that our data continues to improve. And while we haven't met the goal, we are allowed to do an abbreviated plan to deepen the work. So much of what you'll see today looks like the 2022 plan, the 23 plan, and now we have the 24 plan because they build upon each other and deepen the work. It's not a lot of starting something new. And if you've worked in a school system, you realize it takes more than one calendar year to really get some traction. And I have some pretty good news for us this year. In the 2022 and 23 and all the other 4 plans, we were disproportionate in 2 areas. One was in the area of discipline for African-American students in special ed, and one is in the area of over-identification of students in the category of OHI. I do need to apologize. I made a mistake. This measurable outcome is really from the 2023, but the data on here is still good news and is correct. And so if you look at the data, the goal is actually to reduce the number of initial IEPs that we got. And you'll see that while there is some variance, the trend line is trending back down. And so we feel like that is the right direction. Our second category of discipline, we had 2 goals. One was for students overall, our African-American students, and you'll see that our suspension of 5 or more days is way down. And it is also down for our students in special ed. And I'm happy to report that we are no longer disproportionate for discipline in this area. And so I really attribute that to a team-wide effort, the work that all of teaching and learning is doing. And you'll see some familiar themes from each time that teaching and learning comes up. You'll see one of these themes up here, as well as our site principals and assistant principals. This has been a goal, and we're extremely proud of this data. Where does that leave us? We are still over-identified for students under the category of OHI in our African-American students. And it's a very small subset of 21 to 24 students, depending on enrollment. So it's a really small group. And as such, each student is statistically percentage very powerful. So 1 or 2 students variant with only 20 really makes a huge difference. But if you look at the trend line, you can see that our data is improving. Sort of the magic number is to be below 3, and our numbers for the last data set we got was 3.1. So we're really hopeful that we're almost there for over-identification of students as well. We are required to choose a subset of students who are not special ed, who carry the predictors of being at high risk for special education assessment. And we have decided that those are really happening in grades 1 through 3. And students who have a 1 or a 2 on their report card, that, students who struggle in reading in the early grades are at higher risk for being identified as special education. So what do? We have to do 2 things. 1, we have to impact the system. And 2, kids can't wait for systemic change. We need to also focus on the students that I just mentioned to you, students with predictors that might put them at risk for needing special education services. So we're going to look at multi-tiered systems of support. When Teaching and Learning does their presentation, you'll see a lot about MTSS. We're going to look at our site equity councils. A lot of the work that our sites do is about looking at their data, the equity in their data. What does that mean? What do we need to add in? Really keeping our eye on that. Looking at case management for those individual students that we just spoke about and providing intervention and enrichment for them. We also want to use leverage our family center to really support families who have chronic absentee. As you can imagine, many of the students who have low reading scores also have kind of poor attendance. And so we want to take away that factor as a reason and see if we can support those families. We want to look at how we're evaluating students and make sure that we have equity in mind and that we're doing a culturally relevant assessment every time. And we're going to provide professional development. You'll hear a lot about dignity and belonging. Zetha Nobles, the Director of Equity and Access and Achievement, leads this work, but you'll see many of the directors in Teaching and learning refer to dignity and belonging. We think that that has a lot to do with why we're out of it for discipline and hopeful that it will have more far-reaching impacts. You can see the entire plan linked at here. And we're hoping in terms of next step to get board approval tonight and submit to CDE by October 1st. That will lead us to beginning the work, hopefully sometime around January is when it's most typically approved. Thank you very much. Is there any questions?
Yes, Vice President Kumar.
Thank you, Ms. Kepler. Great presentation. I was wondering, what kind of support do you need from us as a board for systemic changes? What can we do?
Ooh, that's a good, deep question that's hard to answer on the fly. I think we would love for you to continue support with equity, dignity, and belonging that we've been doing. We'd love for you to put resources towards MTSS and to support those works. We think that we are almost there and we're hopeful that that data will continue. But I think, you know, approving our plan, continuing the work, not changing course every single year, those things I'm hopeful will have an impact.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other hands up. Thank you, Sarah Kapler, our Director of Special Services.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, now moving on to 9.3. This is a presentation overview of equity, access, and achievement by Zetha Nobles, our Director of Equity, Access, and Achievement.
Greetings, President Gonzalez, trustees of the board. I'm very excited to present the scope for the year for the Equity, Access, and Achievement Department or Division. My presentation is pretty brief. It's full of lots of information, so thank you for your information. Thank you for your attention. So just an overview of the presentation. I'm going to introduce you to our team, share with you the scope, how we're centralized our services this year, and some of the initiatives that we're working on. So this is my ladies, my bevy of beauties. We also call them the Tosa Hermosas. As you can see, there are 4 of us who are in our 3rd year. They started in the beginning. We have 2 who are in their 2nd year working with us, and we have 2 ladies who have joined us this year. Centralized services, where previously we had been having, we had 1 TOSA per school. We shifted that a little bit this year to provide more centralized services, to be more really intentional about the work. So our focus is on data monitoring and analysis, monitoring intervention and implementation of the intervention, collaboration and professional learning, and of course, cultivating belonging and dignity. In terms of our initiatives, we are collaborating a lot around leadership with the directors of education. In fact, we created a new district-wide walkthrough tool that's really focused on the experiences of students in the classroom. We're continuing our work with the New Haven Promise Equity Leader Cohort. We started last year with 30 members. We've increased it, I think, by 10 this year, including classified. We're still continuing with the Equity Council. We're going to be working with our high school students, calling them Dignity Influencers, where last year we started with Dignity Ambassadors. When we had the Dignity Consulting Group, we've lifted up the work that they've done and continued it. So we have the high school Dignity Ambassadors. And then, of course, our continued collaboration with our parent groups. The big talk of the town right now is the N-Word, a call to action initiative. A little bit of history. It started with the discussion with D3A on the weaponization of the N-Word in schools. Around the same time, principals started sharing some of their concerns around the N-word being used at their schools. And around May, they asked for resources from the TOSA team about how to deal with the N-word in school. The TOSA team came up with a document with lots of resources on what to do, what to say, videos to watch, et cetera. Then we continued having D3A meetings with the discussion of the N-word. And later on in the year, and I think Trustee Nishihira was there when we had student voice from the elementary, middle school, and high school around students' experience with the N-word in school. So part of our call to action included some workshops. The James Logan High School Black Student Life Skills classes, myself and one of our TOSAs, Misty, did a workshop with our Black students in life skills in February. Then we presented to CASA. We presented to CASA with the idea that we needed some armor, we needed some strength and some power behind trying to push forward an initiative around the N-word. From CASA, we began to work with Hayward Unified because they're all having similar problems. While working with Hayward Unified, IVCMS was having some issues with the N-word. I did a presentation to their staff. We did a presentation to the Conley High School staff all around the N-word and what to do with it, some historical context. We also presented to the New Haven Unified School District Leadership Academy. And as we ended the year last year, we were in collaboration with Hayward Unified, Castro Unified, Pleasanton, and the president of Alameda County around how do we ensure that our students, our African-American students, aren't being, this word isn't being weaponized against them, even in ways where they don't recognize it's being weaponized against them, and that we're doing our duty as adults to protect these young people. And then we started this year with N-word workshops at Conley Caballo, with all students receiving information about the historical context and current use, and information about laws and procedures that actually prevent and protect students from discrimination, harassment, bullying, et cetera. And then we continue talking about the N-word resolution, updating a policy. And we also discussed some restorative learning consequences, because as we know, sometimes when students use language that's inappropriate, oftentimes we want to punish them or give them consequences. And what we want to make sure that we're doing around the N-word is teaching. We are an institution of learning, and suspending or removing a student from experiencing their instructional minutes because they used the N-word, we didn't want to be responsible for them losing instructional minutes. So we created restorative learning consequences. An example of that is if a student uses the N-word, say in 5th grade, there's a video that they can watch around the historical context and how to use better language. And they can write a paragraph or two about how that felt, what that means, and how they can choose better words. For middle school, similar, a video or a book that they can read. And then they will also have to do a written assignment to indicate that they've learned something around restoring. So the purpose of restoring is to repair harm, to heal, and to fix problems. So using the N-word we find in our schools is a problem. We want to provide students with opportunities to learn, heal, and grow, and not just be punished. And then we're also working on student anti-hate speech compacts. And that comes from, I'm sure you all will remember 3 years ago when I first started, we began the Eliminate Hate Speech campaign. And we haven't stopped that. We've actually added to it. So we're eliminating hate to cultivate belonging and dignity instead. So we've created anti-hate speech compacts that will be launched soon at the high school and middle school level, and another one at the elementary school level. So all of our students are learning and growing together about how to use good language with one another. Thank you. Any questions?
Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, that's a good thing.
I hope that means that was thorough.
Yes.
Thank you all very much. Have a good
Thank you for
evening.
this.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to our public hearing now. This is 10.1. So the board will now convene a public hearing to receive public testimony regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials for fiscal year 2024-25. Speakers will be given 2 minutes to comment on this matter. Are there any speakers? And none on Zoom. Okay, wonderful. All right, well, there being no speakers, the public hearing regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials for fiscal year 2024-25 is now closed. We will now go to informational items. Okay, 11.1, this is the annual investment report for fiscal year 2023-24. Do we have anybody?
There's no comments on it. It's just for board's information.
Okay, just information. All right. So we'll jump to items from the board and superintendent, and I like to go to my far right, and I see trustee Hernandez over there via Zoom. I don't know if her technology is working. Is she able to speak, or if she has anything to say? We can come back to her. Okay. All right, and our very new student trustee Vaca. Did I pronounce right? Okay, good. You don't have to speak right now, but next time if there's anything going on at Logan or anything, do you have anything you want to say right now, or do you want us to come back to you?
Come back to me.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Okay. We're gonna go ahead also with our next student trustee. Buena Flor. Did I pronounce right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, good.
Right. All right, so recently we had our ticket reveals where classes would like reveal the overall class theme and the individual class theme. So our overall school theme for Logan is gonna be Into the Loganverse. Seniors are Monster University. Juniors are Avengers/Marvel. Sophomores are Harry Potter, and freshmen are Space Jam. And next week is the club recruitment fair, and we have like Logan already has like 75 clubs, so we're really excited to like show off all our clubs and like have students join. And let's see. Oh yeah, yesterday I also had attended like an informational meeting for student board members to learn about compliance. So yeah, that was pretty informational and cool. So yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, trustee Nishihara, go ahead.
I have nothing substantive to report.
Okay. Trustee Rafay.
Yes, I had the opportunity to attend Pioneer and IVC as well as Logan back to school nights. It was really enjoyable, and like got to meet a lot of families and parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Vice President Kumar.
Thank you. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to our student trustees. So we have Benji Bonafro from Logan and hi Mele, welcome from Conley. Thank you for being here. It's commendable that you are giving your time to be the student voice on the board. So we appreciate it. Thank you. I also had the opportunity to attend back to school night at Easton. It was great as always, a lot of engaging conversations. I did bring a lot of it back to the superintendent, and a lot of the suggestions actually gelled really well with our strategic goals. So I'm excited about what is to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Checking back in with Vice President, or I'm sorry, Trustee Hernandez. Is she ready? Okay. Okay, wonderful. All right, student trustee Mele Vaca, you ready? Okay.
At Conley, we just started volleyball tryouts last week. Our first league game is happening next week. We also are having club recruitment day next week. I mean, actually this Friday. 70 students just attended an A's game for the first field trip of the year. Also, Ms. Mahalan is our new college and career tech. She helps students research post high school pathways. We also have a new college and career center this year for the first time. And then lastly, Sergeant Diaz came to the campus to speak to students about the benefits of joining the Marines.
Thank you. All right, for myself, I attended two back-to-school nights, Kiriyama and CCMS. I had a great time with the community, seeing some of my former students. Always good with the staff very friendly. Parents, community are really well. Good to see them. I even seen some of my former students from my current school. And I want to just shine a light on somebody who went to Logan. I talked with her, had a really great conversation with her. Fatima Ashufta, and she is on our equity team that Miss Nobles brought up. So a Jim and a former alumni. So great talking to her. I did, there was a lot of committee meetings, a lot going on, new school year for me, and there was a spike in COVID. I did catch COVID and found out that the state is not providing any money for staff to take time off. I had to use my sick time to take off. So I think that's an inequity. Anyways, I'm digressing. Today, related to the N-word, and I'm quick to criticize my district that I work for, which is Hayward Unified School District. But today we had a minimum day, and it was on the N-word. Equity and belonging are training there, and they did a really good job. You know what? I wanted to criticize them on, but they have board district policy that's been district policy. The superintendent did a community forum. And the irony though is that they probably got their playbook from us though. Us partnering with it, they probably I'm gonna bring in that wording. I'm sure they took it from us. But they did a good job. They presented it, and I'm at the elementary level, and so we had a great discussion how it affects us elementary. I'm sure it's far worse and prevalent in the high school level or even middle school. But but sitting there through that training, all I could think of was like, they got this from us. Like this is, rich is because us. And that is not an overstatement it's, I think, experience. I feel I can attest that our district is the best in California. Okay, so I'll go ahead and stop it there. I'll go ahead and turn it over to our superintendent.
Thank you. Just a couple things. Yesterday, I went on a site visit with some staff from Hillview Crest to a school in Oakland where they're using a new type of bell and communication system that allows not only better speaker system and microphone in the classroom for students and teachers to better hear themselves, but also for more immediate and direct communication with the office and law enforcement and whatnot. It's pretty interesting. We are hoping to explore it more and bring potentially pilot this at Hillview Crest to see what it looks like. And then if we were able to pass a bond measure, for example, potentially use some of that money to update this across the district. It's an exciting idea. We'll share more, just a little preview right now, but it certainly is timely. And boy, I'll tell you, it's where schools need to be moving forward. Just how do we get there is the question. So some exciting potential opportunities there. We are starting in a couple days, Latinx Heritage Month. So that begins September 15th and runs through October 15th. So that's worth, we're happy that board passed a resolution on that already to recognize that. D3A, I'd like to thank them for their partnership with our work on the dignity and belonging and the N-word related work. As President Gonzalez pointed out, we started this work, but we're collaborating with local districts and we're all in different phases of it. You heard where Hayward's at and we're moving forward too. So we're excited to continue that work. And finally, first home football game of the year. It's always a big deal when we have those night football games. It's Friday night. And welcome. We have our full complement of student board members. Nice job tonight and good to have you here. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, getting to committee reports. This is 12.1. This is the Finance, Technology, and Facilities Committee. We met on August 29th. And our next meeting is pending. We haven't scheduled that, but the presentation you seen tonight, Ms. Tal did a great job presenting it, is the same one we went over in our committee meeting. And we also talk about the progress on the bond measure. Okay. All right. Next committee is 12.2. This is a report from the Communication and Advocacy Committee. This year.
No report, but our next meeting is 9/12, September 12th.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then from our, this is from report from the Policy Review Committee.
Michael?
Yes, go ahead.
We had a meeting on September 3rd. We reviewed, I think, 13 board policies and 2 bylaws, but most of it were changes that were coming from the state. We did review the draft resolution for the N-word, a call for action, which will come up later for action. And our next meeting is November 19th.
All right. How about other committees? Trustee Rafe?
Yes, Mission ROP, like we'll have a meeting on the 13th, this Thursday, and that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Nishir.
Yes, New Haven Schools Foundation, Mudstra is going to be on September 28th at 7 a.m., starts at 7 a.m. at Masonic Homes over off of Mission. I actually will be the MC. I'm looking forward to that. That's all we have for the foundation.
Can I just add to the?
Oh, sorry, starting
Yes.
at 9 a.m.
And what date, I'm sorry, is that?
It'll be September 28th. Starts at 9. I have to be there at 7, but everybody else has to be there at 9.
Okay, Vice President Kumar.
I'm just adding to the foundation report. We had an in-person meeting on August 19th here. We adopted a budget for 2024-25 fiscal year. And then Trustee Rafe here is leading Mudstra, so thank you. And then we also have Science in the Park, October 5th, I believe, it's right after. And our next meeting is September 23rd.
All right, thank you. All right, that concludes our committee reports. Moving on to action items, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Vice President Kumar, if you can take over.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. All right, item 13.1. May I have a motion and second to deny readmission to student 1?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 13.2. May I have a motion and second to approve a waiver of the physical education requirement for student number 2?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 13.3, may I have a volunteer to read resolution number 007-2425, LGBTQIA+ History Month, October 2024. Any volunteers? I can do it. Whereas Rodney Wilson, a high school teacher from St. Louis, founded the first LGBT History Month in 1994 to celebrate and teach lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT history, now known as LGBTQIA+ history. And whereas October is a significant month in LGBTQIA+ history, with National Coming Out Day on October 11th, LGBTQIA+ Awareness Day on October 19th, Intersex Awareness Day on October 26th, and Asexual Awareness Week, the last week of October, and as the first and second national marches on Washington for lesbian and gay rights were held in October of 1979 and 1987 respectively, and whereas the LGBTQIA+ community has contributed to advancing civil rights in the United States and globally, as exemplified by Bayard Rustin, an openly gay African-American man who was active for decades in the civil rights and peace movements, risked his life in anti-racist protests, and worked as an organizer and strategist with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And whereas there is an intersection of identities between the LGBTQIA+ communities and Hispanic communities who both celebrate and honor their history during October, including notable members of both communities such as Silva Rivera, Frida Kahlo, Reynaldo Arenas, Dennis De Leon, Gloria Evangelina Anzaldúa, and Pedro Zamora. And whereas the history of national LGBTQIA+ rights was also catalyzed by the Stonewall Uprising on June 28, 1969, in New York City in response to police harassment and discrimination led by transgender activists Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson, who also created a trans rights group and maintained a place of refuge for LGBTQIA+ homeless youth. And whereas the history of national LGBTQIA+ rights was also catalyzed by the Compton's cafeteria riots in August of 1966 in the Tenderloin district of San Francisco, led by transgender women of color in response to violent and constant police harassment of drag queens and transgender people. And whereas the New Haven Unified School District remains committed to its mission of providing equitable student learning and achievement, academic excellence, and workforce development by delivering high-quality educational programs and support services to our diverse communities, which include LGBTQIA+ communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Haven Unified School District Board of Education hereby honors our diverse and intersectional lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, two-spirit, pansexual, asexual, intersex, genderqueer, non-binary, and queer communities, and reaffirms our commitment to creating an environment in which all individuals are supported and nurtured. And be it further resolved that the New Haven Unified School District recognizes October 2024 as LGBTQIA+ History Month and will fly the Rainbow Pride flag at all district locations for the month of October. Passed and adopted this 10th day of September 2024 by the following vote. May I have a motion and second to adopt resolution number 007-2425 LGBTQIA+ History Month, October 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we're moving on to item 13.4. May I have a volunteer to read resolution 008-2425 Filipino American History Month, October 2024? Student trustee, go ahead.
All right. Whereas this is an appropriate time to promote and reflect on the richness of Filipino and Filipino American history and culture, and to provide all Americans with the opportunity to learn, appreciate, and honor Filipino Americans and their historic and social contributions to the history of the USA. Whereas our New Haven Unified School District is the first in the nation to name a school after Filipino farm labor leaders, Larry Itliong and Philip Veracruz. And whereas it is necessary to instill in our youth the importance of education, history, and ethnicity in creating eminent role models, establishing a proud cultural identity, and producing exceptional citizens of this nation. And whereas the Filipino American National Historical Society established Filipino American History Month in 1988 and subsequently every October, several communities throughout the United States and its territories have celebrated this occasion. To commemorate the anniversary of the presence of the first Filipinos on U.S. soil, and to observe its heritage and recognize the social, intellectual, and economic contributions of Filipinos and Filipino Americans in this country. Whereas Filipino American servicemen and servicewomen have a long-standing history of serving to protect and defend this country in the armed forces from the Civil War to the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts. And whereas the earliest documentation evidence of Filipinos in the continental United States occurred on October 18, 1587, when mariners called Lucenes Indios under Spanish command landed in Morro Bay, California. And whereas today the Filipino American community is the second largest Asian American group in the United States with an estimated population of 3,400,000 people. And whereas our city of Union City has an estimated population of 14,000 Filipinos and Filipino Americans who have had a profound impact on California history, values, and culture. And whereas the Filipino community played an important role in Union City's rich agricultural history, thereby helping to shape its landscape. And whereas immigrants from the Philippines and their families truly have enriched our nation through their work in agriculture, their service in the armed forces, their contribution of skills and expertise as engineers, scientists, accountants, teachers, lawyers, nurses, and doctors, and their participation in public offices, civic affairs, and community activities. And whereas Filipino American History Month was first proclaimed by the 111th Congress of the United States in November 2009. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that the New Haven Unified School District hereby issues this proclamation in honor and recognition of October 2024 as Filipino American History Month.
Thank you, Student Trustee Buenaflor. May I have a motion and second to adopt resolution number 0082425, Filipino American History Month, October 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 13.5, may I have a volunteer to read resolution number 0112425, the N-word, a call for action? Trustee Nishihira?
Okay, New Haven Unified School District Board of Education Resolution 0112425, the N-word, a call for action. Whereas the New Haven Unified School District is committed to identifying and addressing the critical issues in education through public policy relative to the status and performance of African-American students in California. And whereas the devastating impacts of white supremacy, racism, and anti-Blackness, which still exist in society, have a long-standing historical roots, cannot be ignored or tolerated. And whereas the N-word is one of the most offensive words in the English language that has emerged from the untreated legacy of white supremacy, racism, and anti-Blackness. And whereas the trend toward the normalization of the N-word in popular culture, including movies, music, and media, has led to attempts to reclaim or reappropriate the word into a term of endearment as an expression of community across racial, ethnic, and cultural backgrounds. And whereas this trend is leading to an increase in the casual use of the N-word by students of all races, and to fads such as non-Black students requesting permission to receive an N-word passes, all of which negatively impact school culture and climate. And whereas the use of the N-word in schools, regardless of context or intent, causes harm to our African-American students and staff members and undermines the district's efforts to create an environment of belonging that honors dignity of all students, staff, and families. And whereas the New Haven Unified School District has policies that prohibit the use of language that is vulgar or obscene, or that denigrates others based on gender, race, color, religion, national origin, ethnic group, marital or parental status, age, physical or mental disability, sexual orientation, or any other unlawful consideration. And whereas the use of the N-word in our schools violates district policy, and its use shall not be condoned in any context in our schools or school programs, except in a teaching capacity that explicitly references the historical context of the word, highlighting its prejudicial nature. And therefore, be it resolved that the New Haven Unified School District considers the N-word damaging to the dignity, safety, and well-being of the school community and school climate, and charges staff with taking action to educate our school community on its detrimental effects and prevent its use in our schools. Passed and adopted by the following called vote this 10th day of September 2024.
Thank you, Trustee Nishihira. May I have a motion and second to adopt resolution number 0112425, the N-word, a call for action?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 13.6, may I have a motion and second to approve the revised board policy number S5145.3, non-discrimination, harassment, anti-racism?
May I have something to share on that?
Sure.
Should we move in second and then go into discussion, or would you
Oh,
prefer
let's
to
do
do it
that.
before?
Okay.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, I'm very proud of our school district for making divisions in our anti-Semitism, non-discrimination, harassment, use of N-word, As our priority, I'd like to request adding anti-Semitism and Islamophobia along with all the above mentioned discriminations. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Rafay. That is a very valid point, and I think our school district should have zero tolerance to racism of any sort. That said, there's a process. So this request, I believe, came from the Black and African-American community through D3A. And then I believe staff made changes to the policy. It went to legal counsel for review. And then it came to policy review, and then it finally made it to the board. So if we would like to modify this more, I think it should go through the same process. So I would recommend maybe bringing it up during consensus, and we can make that happen. But at this point, we will still need to take action on this particular motion. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 13.7, may I have a motion and second to adopt resolution number 013-2425, resolution in favor of California Proposition 2, Public Education Facilities Bond Measure.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 13.8, may I have a motion and second to approve resolution number 009-2425, recognizing the absence of trustee Hernandez from the governance study session on July 30th due to hardship.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 13.9, may I have a motion and second to adopt resolution number 010-2425, sufficiency of instructional materials for the 2024-25 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Sorry, trustee Hernandez. Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 13.10, may I have a motion and second to approve the unaudited actuals financial report for fiscal year 2023-2024 and resolution number 0142425, designating certain general funds as committed fund balance.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 13.11, may I have a motion and second to approve revised 2024-25 certificate salary schedule.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 13.12, may I have a motion and second to approve the provisional internship permit.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 13.13, may I have a motion and second to approve Proposition 28, Arts and Music in Schools Funding Annual Report for the 2023-24 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 13.14, may I have a motion and second to approve the Special Education Significant Disproportionality Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervening Services, CCEIS Plan for 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Item 13.15, may I have a motion and second to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Boys and Girls Club San Leandro for 2024-25.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 14, are there any items from the consent agenda that any board members would like to pull for a separate vote? All right, seeing none, may I have a motion and second to approve items 14.1 through 14.27?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 15, since there was nothing removed from consent agenda, we can move on to item 16. And I'm turning it back over to President Gonzalez.
Thank you, Vice President Kumar. Excellent job. This is on assessment of government procedures and protocols. Any comment on that? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and move on. This is board consensus. Board members, any requests? Okay, Vice President Kumar?
So there's been, over the past couple of weeks, I have received calls from several members in the AAS community, Alvarado Elementary. And they've been wondering what's going on with the media center and the maker space. And I do understand that it was stuck at DSA for a while. But I was wondering if we have board consensus for maybe the superintendent to just send an update to the AAS community on where it stands, because they really feel like they have not been getting any information about the current status. Do we have consensus?
Yes.
Yeah, happy to do it. The irony is that was one of the first projects we started, and it's going to be one of the last to be completed because of all the hangups. But happy to do that. And that's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no other requests, we'll go ahead and adjourn. It is 7:43. We are adjourned. Yeah, I didn't have to leave.